right, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight's Planning Commission this December 12th, 2024. We're glad to see some people in the audience, but we will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Martineau and opening remarks from Commissioner Trickler.
Please rise and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, this quote today, there's two. Hard work. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Preservation. Oh my gosh. Perseverance is the hard work you do after you get tired of doing the hard work you already did.
Thank you so much. All right, I will take a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I move we approve tonight's agenda with the canceling of item number 1 being withdrawn by the applicant and item number 6 being continued to our next meeting.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Martineau, a second from Commissioner Butler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Now I'll take a motion to approve the staff reports.
A motion to approve the staff reports?
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Trickler to approve them, a second from Commissioner Butler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes as well. Are there any declaration of conflicts and abstentions from commissioner members?
No.
No? All right. We will proceed to item number 2, which, I do want to mention too, that items number, 4 and 5 are public meetings, which what that means is these are not legislative items, so we don't have a public hearing, so we just kind of talk about it from the commissioners. So just to let you know, they are an item where as long as the applicant meets all the city codes, the staff engineering, or all that, then we have to approve them. So just letting you guys know that, but we will go on to item number 2, which is a public hearing to consider the request of Bruce Black for a vicinity plan amendment located at approximately 1592 West, 1800 North in the rural residential zone. The applicant is proposing a change to the layout of planned roads within the current vicinity plan for the area. A change in the planned road layout of the vicinity plan includes a proposal to eliminate the requirement for a connection from West 1800 North to West 1930 North. Okay, Jacob, we'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the Commission. I'm Jacob Hawkins from the Planning Department. The first item that we have for, today is a vicinity plan for Bruce Black. Now, to fully understand this item, let's go through a little bit of history. In June 2000, the city adopted a vicinity plan throughout the entire city that anticipated how larger open properties might be developed should they ever be subdivided. The last master plan that the city did for vicinity plans was back in 2014. And this version, as we can see here, shows that there are 2 streets that were anticipated on extending from 1300 North, or I guess rather one street and then another street down here. But it shows these 2 streets, and then the subject property right here shows both of these streets connecting and then coming down to 1800 North. And then there's also this little section up here that was extending out into American Fork, if there were going to be any roads out here at the time that the vicinity plan was adopted. But then in 2018, the vicinity plan for this area was amended. So this road right down here was removed, as well as the access to American Fork. And we can see what that looks like right here. So this is the current vicinity plan for this area. So it's just got the one road, but it still does show the connection to 1800 North on the subject property, which is this area right over here. So this, in 2018, the vicinity plan for this area was amended, so the road right here was removed, and the connection to American Fork was removed. And this was done with the subdivision of Hall Haven Plat A, which constructed 1930 North, as well as all of these houses up here, because this was taken from that subdivision. And then 1930 North was permitted to end as a temporary dead-end street. I'll come back here so we can look at this. So 1930 North, you can see just kind of dead ends right there. So temporary dead-end streets longer than 700 feet are permitted in our codes, but that they require permission or approval from the Planning Commission, and that was the case at that time. And this is permitted because the expectation that as the development over here in this area happened, that the connection would then be made to provide access to any further development in the area. And then in August 2023, the section of land up here was annexed into the city, and on October 7th of this year, the current property owner and applicant submitted for a building permit for a single-family residence back here in this area. Now, staff met with Bruce, the applicant, about the need for a subdivision and a vicinity plan amendment. Now for the subdivision, you can see that there's an existing house down here. And because there's an existing house, and because the applicant wants to build their own house back here, 2 single-family homes will require 2 separate lots. And so that's why we need the subdivision. And then for the vicinity plan amendment, the applicant is requesting to simply cap off 1930 North in a cul-de-sac, as his objective is to only build 1 single-family house on this property with a long driveway from 1800 North, without the possibility of creating any further connection for existing roads at this time. And this is what that looks like. Let's see here. So this proposal, though, it does come with a couple problems. First, the city has a requirement that cul-de-sacs can have a maximum length of 650 feet upon receiving approval from the Planning Commission. In this case, 1930 North here is already well above 700 feet. And so a variance will need to be approved to extend the maximum length of a cul-de-sac before final approval is given by the city council for the proposed vicinity plan. Now, at this time, we have a hearing scheduled with the hearing officer on January 7th, 2025, which will be before the next city council meeting. So we'll just need to make sure we get that going. Next, the purpose of vicinity plans is to ensure that adequate access and service is provided for all potential development and to ensure that no property is landlocked. By capping off 1930 North in a cul-de-sac, if maintenance of utilities is needed, potentially all of these houses along 1930 North, all of these houses could be affected by any maintenance that has to be done to the utilities in this area. Now, there is a potential solution to this, which is, if this property is ever developed with a cul-de-sac somewhere down here in the future, that wouldn't necessarily require a vicinity plan at that point, but if there is a cul-de-sac here, it could connect to a potential cul-de-sac up here just for like utilities only. And then that way the utilities themselves will still have full connectivity. And then we can do that just through an easement. However, at this time, since the applicant is only intending on developing a single-family home on 1 lot, the need to develop the connecting road is not needed. And so no property is landlocked, and all existing development has adequate service and access being provided. And so staff is in support of the proposed vicinity plan as long as a couple conditions are met. That the applicant submits for and obtains a variance for the future cul-de-sac along 1930 North, as it will be longer than allowed by code, and that any required improvements on 1800 North are constructed. And with that, staff recommends approval, and I can take any questions.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Jacob?
The proposed cul-de-sac right there
Yes.
is basically almost going to cut the lot in half that it's protruding into. I don't know if that homeowner is in line with that or not, and you know, because where I see that will definitely affect that house. And then the house next to it has an extremely deep, long lot. If they want to develop, there is no way for them to develop the back half of their lot. So it does isolate the back half of, I
Of
don't
both
know
of
what the
those lots.
address is on that house, but it isolates that whole lot.
So that's a great question. And if either one of these properties wants to develop, there's going to have to be some form of access back there regardless, whether it's a street, whether it's a cul-de-sac or anything like that. And on top of that, any potential lots that are created would have to meet the zoning ordinances at that time, which right now, both of these lots are technically too narrow to meet the zoning ordinances individually. And so with the development back there, they would, if they were to apply, like say tomorrow, they would have to work together and come up with something.
I just, you know, I didn't want to see anything landlocked, and that's the purpose of the roads.
Exactly.
But if that's not an issue, we can go ahead.
Great question.
How to scale is that cul-de-sac?
Not to scale, it's just to represent that a cul-de-sac would go there.
Gotcha. So what you're saying, what they need to do, so one of the conditions, let me just make sure. The applicant will need to submit for and obtain a variance for future cul-de-sac. Is that correct? And that's the cul-de-sac that we're talking
That's
about?
the cul-de-sac right there.
Right there.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. And for reference, the standard width for a road is 56 feet wide. And then a cul-de-sac is about double that, about 110 feet for the radius, or for the diameter, radius. There it is.
And that's to allow for fire truck turnaround and other access of
Right.
and in and out traffic.
Will utilities be off of 1800?
Yeah, so the utilities
new
at this
lot?
point would be separated. So for all of these houses up here, they would all come off of this road that's existing. But then for this house, everything that's gonna have direct access to 1800 North, they would have to have utilities from there.
Okay. And you also mentioned that improvements need to be done on this entire portion of 1800 or just from there to there?
So it would be, all street frontage improvements are required, for,
For lot
new
1 and?
development, essentially, yeah.
Lot
So,
1 and 2, or just lot 2?
I believe it's both lot 1 and 2, is that correct? Yeah, lot 1
Okay.
and 2. So, that would be curb gutter sidewalk.
Yeah.
At the very least, yeah.
I've driven around this area, but I don't have a good recollection. Is there going to be drainage problems without roads connecting? I'm not sure how water works out there with our storm water.
Water flow down to 1800?
Yeah, is all the water from that long drive gonna come to 1800 and be collected there in that gutter? Or is he gonna have an issue back in that lot coming to other areas? I don't know how the topo is there.
When they submit that the plan, they have to submit how the stormwater will be drained to the 1800 north.
Okay, so you will have to develop to 1800, okay.
Start with the improvement plan, we should look at their drainage report and then grading plan, then it will tells us like how the water will be move out from the lot to the 1800 north.
Okay, and then it's on all private drives, so.
All right, any other questions? Okay, not seeing any. Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is the applicant here, or would you like to come forward? Okay. Just remember to please state your name in the microphone.
Good evening. My name's Bruce Black. I'm the property owner of the property being discussed. I do want to thank you guys for the opportunity to be here, and Daniel and Jacob's been very patient with me and my frustrations with this process, so I wanted to make sure to tell them thank you too. Your question on the drainage, that the slope of that property goes from north to south, so everything does slope down to 1800. My intent all along was to do the improvements on 1800. I knew that was going to be expected, and I don't have any issues with that. We bought this property in April of 2023. I don't know if anybody remembered, but at one point there was a backhoe holding up the front porch of that old farmhouse. And so we put a lot of time and effort in cleaning that old house up. My son lives there now. Our goal is to have, I grew up in Highland, grew up on a farm, and I've always wanted that for me and my family. So that's when our dream when we found this property and was able to purchase it to do something like that. So that was our goal all along. We've lived in Pleasant Grove for 29 years now. We love it here. It's not like, I don't feel like we're an outsider trying to come in and hopefully cause too much problems, but what other questions do you have for me?
No, thanks for improving that, but yeah, anybody have any questions?
I can't think of any.
All right, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So the cul-de-sac that's coming off of 1930, who pays for that? Is that,
So I would believe it would be whoever develops those other two properties together would have to improve that as part of the improvement.
okay, so that doesn't have anything to do with your lot at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Okay, we're just not continuing the road? That's all, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. All right, this is a public hearing, so we will open it up to the public. If anybody would like to come forward, yeah, go ahead. And once again, state your name in the microphone.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. My wife and I own the property. My name is Brian Stevens, my wife's Audrey. We've lived at this property for maybe 30 years, and we're in the property just east of Mr. Black's property. And we've lived there for maybe 30 years, and we love horses, and so we like the pasture. And we have no intention of subdividing that property, or nor do we want to. And so I just wanted to make that known.
Oh, good,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Any
Yeah.
questions for me?
Oh, no, thank you, we appreciate your
Thank you.
comment, yeah. Anybody else? Yes, go ahead, come forward.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Milt Rasmussen. I live the next property over where the cul-de-sac is proposed.
There is a point or two there, or if you want, but you got it. That one right there? Okay.
That one, yeah. That's right in the middle of my pasture. And our property's intact. I've been there for 47 years. I don't plan to move there. And my kids will deal with that when the time comes. My grandkids will, anyway. So anyway, that's that. And I have watched Bruce develop and clean up that property. We had a hazmat operation going there for a minute, and there was junk every which way, and he's done a stellar job, and appears to have good makings for an excellent neighbor, and we're just looking forward to seeing that. Hope you can accommodate him in what he's trying to do.
Thank you, appreciate it. No, he has done a good job. I live in that area, but yeah, come ahead.
Thanks for having us. I'm Duke Sorensen. I live on 1930 North. And most of us are here in the back, just listening as well. We were just talking, we all would support this plan. We love that idea. That's kind of what we wanted to have happen when we bought our lots, was to have a cul-de-sac at the end at some point, or a dead end or whatever. So we're all in favor of this as well, so.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. Any questions? Okay.
You don't want high density over there? I'm kidding. All right, anybody else? All right, not seeing anybody jumping up, we'll close the public hearing and then bring it up for the commissioners for discussion or a motion.
So I do have a question. I'd like to ask Jacob, an engineer. I apologize that I don't remember your name. The time frame, like we have the cul-de-sac here, and Mr. Rasmussen said, that is something that his kids, grandchildren will do. What is, based upon the current vicinity plan that we have, like what do we need to do to have that happen? Because according to code, it needs to be, right?
It needs to happen, but at the time of development.
At the time of development of
those properties.
those properties.
So if those
So if those properties never are developed, then it doesn't need to be a cul-de-sac. It just
It
ends.
stays as temporary.
Okay,
turnaround.
so with that in mind, when it comes to engineering or fire specifically, what is the requirements there? Because that does, the vicinity plan said access and emergency access. That was one of the reasons for that vicinity plan. So I'm just curious as far as if it's never developed, what does the city have it planned in mind when it comes to emergency fire truck access and stuff?
You mean like a turnaround?
Yeah,
Okay. So at the case, at least we need to put the cul-de-sac, then the fire truck can come to the 1930 north and then can turn around. At the case, he cannot turn around. But the reason why we just gonna stop there, because based on the old vicinity plan, it has to be connected to the 1800 north. That will be done at kind of like a turnaround. The truck can get out there.
yeah.
But it's gonna stop, and then it's not, no more development at this moment. That's why it's kind of dead end. So when Mr. Black showed up, then it's kind of right turn, like the right time to put the cul-de-sac.
Sure.
And then it will be the 96 diameter of the cul-de-sac, so there's no problem. The fire truck can turn around at there. So that's our code about 96 diameter cul-de-sac, so. So when the project will be started, and then we need to add the cul-de-sac as a part of the construction.
Okay.
And to further answer your question, the section of code that talks about temporary turnarounds, which is in Title 10, Section 15, I forget the subsection, but it does say with temporary turnarounds that there has to be some sort of easement in place, so that way the fire department can turn around.
Sure.
So they'd use driveways or whatever that they have available there.
And just as long as the public recognizes that, so the neighbors in that neighborhood recognize that in this instance currently, that if the fire department needs to get there, then they need to be able to use potentially their yards to turn around, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and open the public back up if you want to come. Yeah, no, you're fine.
Larry Kingsford, I live right next to.
Sorry, state your name again.
Larry Kingsford, and I just was going to mention that right across this, I live in 1226, right next to Milt's, right next to the property right there, and across the street, there's actually a note saying temporary turnout. It's marked on an individual's driveway. It's very well known to everybody in the neighborhood, so it's already there.
Good to know. All right, thank you. All right, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back up to the commissioners. Okay, sorry, we'll open the public.
There's a stranger.
Yeah, right?
Guys, there's a lot going on here. I have no opposition necessarily of what happens with this. There is a temporary turnaround. There is an easement for doing that. It was extended to this location. So a fire truck can go down at the end of the road on the left-hand side. There is a turnaround. It's properly marked. Took a lot of effort for the city to make sure that that was there. Marty Beaumont.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Just because we know, I didn't.
That's totally fine. And until it develops into a cul-de-sac, if it is approved, then that will continue to operate and function. There's no front yards being used. It's going to be used in the temporary turnaround. So that's totally fine. I know that as we went through the approval of this project, there were a lot of assumptions that that road would go through. So I would just say, make sure they're addressing things with utilities, storm drain line. All of this drains down to the end of that. The storm drain line was taken through the backyards of properties for the future extension onto 1800 West. So the city is going to be taking on the obligations of a backyard storm drain line if they approve the cul-de-sac to stop. And then the other thing I would say they need to be aware of is if you guys approve a termination of this and it doesn't meet current ordinance, then a cul-de-sac wouldn't be an appropriate way to terminate that. So unless like Jerry, Mr. Hawkins was saying, it wouldn't be able to be terminated in a cul-de-sac because it's too long right now. So they would have to get that variance. So at what time can they get the variance? Or do they need to get the variance in order for you guys to approve this to be stopped now? Because right now it's already too long to be a cul-de-sac. So you're pretty much tying the hands of somebody in the future saying, you have to give them the variance because we allowed this other development. It's just something to consider. Again, I have no problems with it. It is a little bit long. There are a few little concerns there, but it can happen. I don't have any issues with that, but there are a few things to consider.
Thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Marty. All right, we will close the public hearing and bring it back up to the commissioners.
So the question to the engineer, all of those issues that were brought up by Mr. Beaumont, those are well aware by the city
Yes.
and understood, and there's no issues or anything. So, you know, like, when it's developed, if it's grandchildren, then many of us aren't going to be here, and so the decision will be up to them, and they're going to be kind of handcuffed, and we just want to make sure that it's not going to be something that's going to be problematic at that time.
No.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate that, not creating a future problem for somebody else. Okay, will make a motion that the Planning Commission recommend approval of the request of Bruce Black for a vicinity plan amendment at 1592 West, 1800 North in the rural residential zone, and adopting the exhibits, conditions, and findings of the staff report, and as modified, that the applicant receives the approval and records a two-lot plat. The applicant submits and obtains a variance for the future cul-de-sac that will be longer than the code is required for improvements on 1800 North, and that any final planning, engineering, and fire department requirements are met.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Martineau and a second from Commissioner Redding. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Moving on to item number 3, which is also a public hearing to consider the request of Marty Beaumont for the approval of a 2-lot and a 1-parcel commercial subdivision plat called Valley Grove Business Park Plat Q. This subdivision is approximately 19.16 acres in size and is located at approximately 1234 South Valley Grove Way and 1312 South Valley Grove Way, and parcel number 54,450,0037. The proposed plat includes the vacation of parcel B and lot 35 of the Valley Grove Business Park Plat P subdivision in the Grove Zone, Valley Grove Mixed Use Overlay. Jacob, turn it over to you.
All right. I should just give you my notes and have you present. All right, so the rest of the items that we have today are for subdivision plats, and this first one is for St. John's Properties. Back in May of this year, we heard a subdivision for this entire area called Valley Grove Plat P, so this whole area. This plat included the whole area bounded by the freeway, Pleasant Grove Boulevard, Valley Grove Way, and Proctor Lane. And today, we're just looking at a portion of that area, specifically this lot here and this parcel here, which is going to be split into into 1 lot and 1 parcel right there. So this property is in the Valley Grove Mixed Use Overlay and the Grove Interchange Subdistrict. And this is what I'm in the wrong area. We're going here. There we go. Here's what the plat looks like. So this lot right here is being included just because there's a small section up here that where the property lines are being adjusted between these 2 lots right here. So they're including this one again, and then they're just splitting this one in half essentially. So that way they can begin development on this new lot. And that's pretty much about it. I mean, the zoning requirements in the Grove Zone are not especially stringent, as there are no lot size requirements, no width requirements. And then the required setbacks for this area are 10 feet from the property line along local roads and 20 feet from the property lines along arterial roads. And so as such, the proposed subdivision meets the zoning requirements, and staff recommends approval of the proposed subdivision. I can take any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. The question I have is that little, where lot 36 comes on to Valley Grove Way, is that, I assume that's intended for a drive access or an
I believe
approach?
so. I'll let Marty answer that.
Okay, I just, want to make sure it's got the right width, and I'm sure Marty's gone through it and he knows it. I just want to verify that it's got the width and appropriate so that we're not going to have a choke point there for vehicles.
Perfect.
Any other questions for Jacob? Thanks, Jacob. All right, this is a public hearing, so Marty, if you want to, or the applicant wants to come forward, we'd love to hear from you.
And Marty Beaumont with St. John Properties, thank you for considering this item tonight. With the answer to your question, there's nothing on the plat that's talking about access. The access will come with the site plan. The relocation of the property line right there, we had to shift it about 10 feet because of some storm drain conflicts with the existing storm drain facility that's there. But as far as access, there is an access road that comes out there. It's been, it's under review right now in a site plan. I believe it's for a Fat Cats site plan that's in for development right now, at least for under consideration. So there is an access there, but that has nothing to do with really the plat. The plat's pretty straightforward, just trying to create this. We've got a lot of development going and create this other bigger lot. As you know, if you remember from our original concept plans for the area, that was not good. That this lower area is a residential planned area, and that appears to be what will be moving forward. There's nothing right now to be put forward for a site plan, but there is a concept that we're looking at for this lot that's being created. So that's one of the reasons we need to get the lot subdivided, and so we can work forward on that. So, but any questions for me? Lots of good things happening in the city down there, and we appreciate all your guys' support. We've got lots of fun projects that are being concepted right now, and lots of work for me, so that's perfect. Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, appreciate it. All right, this is a public hearing, so we will open it up to the public if anybody would like to come forward. All right, not seeing anybody, we'll close the public hearing and bring it back up to the commissioners for discussion or a motion.
I move that the planning commission forward a positive recommendation of approval for the request of St. John's Properties for a two lot and one parcel preliminary subdivision plot located at 1234 South Valley Grove Way and parcel number 54-450-37 in the Grove Interchange Subdistrict, and adopting the exhibits, conditions, and findings of the staff report and as modified by the conditions below. All final planning, engineering, and fire department requirements are met. That's it.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Nelson and a second from Commissioner Martineau. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes as well. Moving on to item number 4. This one is just a public meeting to consider the request of Ben Kajar for the approval of a one-lot residential subdivision plat called Loxley Rhizon Ranch Subdivision on approximately 1.54 acres located at 543 North, 1380 East, and including a vacation of Lot 32 of the Walker Ridge Plat B subdivision in the R1-12 Single Family Residential Zone. Jacob, turn it over to you.
All righty. Thank you. All right, so this next item is a residential subdivision for Ben Kier. The applicant called in earlier today to say he won't be able to make it to the meeting tonight, but we'll forgive him if we have to. This property is located up on the hill at 543 North, 1308 East. It's kind of a little hard to see here. Let's go to this one. There we go. Now, the front half of this property was included in a subdivision before called Walker Ridge Plat B back in 2014. And the applicant is just adding this triangle piece back here to this property so that way he can put a house on there. Now, a couple things about this property. First off, you'll notice that this is a flag lot that extends from the end of a cul-de-sac. Now, typically, this isn't something that would be permitted, but on March 20th, 2014, the Pleasant Grove City Board of Adjustment granted a variance to permit there to be a flag lot here and to provide access to up in this area. The other thing about this property that you'll notice is that there is split zoning, because here's the triangle area. Actually, I guess you can't really see it. It's broken. But there's the triangle area that's back here in that area, and then the rest of the subdivision kind of comes off here. So it's split between R112 and R120. Now, the applicant intends to apply for a rezone to consolidate the zoning on this property, which we'll likely hear once at one of the next planning commission meetings, although he wanted to wait to apply for that rezone until after receiving approval for the preliminary plat. In any case, since this is a flag lot subdivision, let's go back here. It will need to meet the requirements for flag lots that were updated earlier this year. In your staff report, you'll see what the differences are in the requirements for flag lots between the existing R120 zone and the proposed rezone to rural residential. But either way, the proposed subdivision meets all of those requirements regardless of the current or proposed zone. So this is the subdivision. This property, once combined, will be 1.54 acres in size, has a width of approximately 206 feet from the narrowest point, which is like right about here in this halfway point, and has a frontage of 26 feet up along the cul-de-sac right there. And then a building envelope has also been provided that reflects the required setbacks at 30 feet from this side. So this is going to be the front setback, so it's 30 feet away from the back of this person's property. So 30 feet there, and then 20 feet on the sides, and then 25 feet from the rear property line, which is designated as this one right there. So all in all, the proposed subdivision meets the zoning requirements, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Jacob? Oh, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and just double checking, the applicant's not here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll bring it up to the commissioners for discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion. I move the planning commission approve the request of Ben Kiar for a preliminary subdivision plat called Loxley Rise-On Ranch Plat A, located at approximately 543 North, 1380 East on property zone RR112 and R120, subject to the following condition: that all final planning, engineering, and fire department requirements are met.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Butler, a second from Commissioner Redding. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that one passes. Moving on to item number 5, which is a public meeting to consider the request of Harley Construction for the approval of a 12-lot and 2-parcel residential subdivision plat called Carroll's Countryside Plat C on approximately 12.63 acres located at approximately 2300 North, 100 East in the rural residential RR zone. Jacob, your
Alrighty.
turn again.
Thank you. Close out of this. Okay, so the last item we'll be hearing today will be another residential plat for Harley Construction this time. This property we've also heard once before back in August 2023, and at that time it was called Carroll's Countryside Plat B. And you can kind of see how that was recorded. So this is how that one was all lined up. So you had one lot here, you had one parcel here, and you had a second parcel here. And so the applicant tonight, Harley's Construction, they're going in and messing around with these 2 parcels of land. So we're going to get 12 different lots on this first parcel and then 2 different parcels on this one. We'll see that here in just a second. But this property is zoned rural residential, which means that the minimum lot sizes for each lot is a ½ acre, and the minimum lot width is 110 feet. And then the setbacks in this area are also 30 feet from the front property line, 30 feet from the rear property line, and 10 feet on the sides. So here's the plat itself, and I'll actually zoom in a little bit. I'll do something like that. It's cutting off a little bit at the top and bottom, but that's fine. So each of these lots, they meet the minimum zoning requirements, with the smallest lot type being exactly a ½ acre, which would be these 2 essentially, and this one down here, I think those ones are exactly a ½ acre. And then all of these ones up and down here are just over a half acre, but they meet the minimum lot width requirement at 110 feet exactly. Then the two parcels on the southern property, they split this particular parcel into two. And the reason for this, and I'll scroll down just a little bit. The reason for this is because this is not going to be paved just yet, but it is going to provide emergency access to all of this development. And you'll see here that there is a cul-de-sac that ends right here. Now, last time whenever we brought Carroll's Countryside Plat B to the Planning Commission, we also had a vicinity plan in this area that removed a cul-de-sac that was going north, but this still had connection out here to North County Road. In fact, it went kind of up and over to, it was proposed to kind of come up and over and meet with this one. But the current applicant, they went to Utah County as they were working on the development for this project. And Utah County and both Utah County and our engineering department, they all agreed that that's kind of a fast corner. It's a blind corner. It's more dangerous than what is really wanted there. And so access in that particular place wouldn't be possible or really desirable. And in fact, the only way how it could be possible is if this road kind of curved down and connected to North County Road, or North Canyon Road, there it is, somewhere out here. And even then, it's still kind of running into a lot of the same problems. So even though it's possible, it's not something that the city would really want. And so it's actually preferred that they go the route of the cul-de-sac. Something that we still need to do, though, is because the vicinity plan technically is being amended, we do need to work with the applicant to get a vicinity plan amendment. And so hopefully we'll get that to you, next time. But otherwise, that's the condition that we're going to put on this item for tonight. But otherwise, staff recommends approval of the proposed subdivision. And I can take any questions.
So that access point between the two plats, right? So that's just gonna be emergency access, is it gonna be dirt?
It's just emergency access right now. I don't know what it's going to be constructed out of, but it will be, up to scale for emergency access only at this point. And then as these two parcels are developed, then it will be fully paved for full access.
So before that, the street is constructed, we just put the 20-foot easement for emergency access.
Okay,
So not in the plat, but it's in the plan.
gotcha. And then as far as utilities, are those gonna be coming off that
So all
from the
the
south
utility
or?
will be installed, even though before
Okay.
they pave the road. But the road will be paved when the another owner in the south side, they wanted to develop.
Okay, so all utilities will be accessible that direction instead of coming from the north side, right?
So all the utilities connected to the south side of that plat,
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
And then, as that's a temporary road, having built many of those in the past, we'll have that as maintainable, permeable, type of material
Yes.
for winter access and things like that, such as a crushed asphalt or something, so
Yes.
that it's, okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Jacob.
Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Would you like to come forward?
Madam Chair and Commission members, Brian Balls, representing Harley Construction. I think Jacob's done a pretty good job laying out what the proposal is. As stated, this was originally came in as the 13 lots, and as we started working with staff, kind of collectively realized, you know what, let's pull back one and let's do the cul-de-sac, and definitely cleans up some issues that were challenging but not insurmountable. But I think in the end, this probably creates a little bit better scenario. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
No, any questions? All right, no, thank you,
thank
we
you.
appreciate it. All right, so bring it up to the commissioners for discussion or a motion.
I move the Planning Commission approve the request of Harley Construction for a preliminary subdivision plat called Carroll's Countryside Plat C, located at approximately 2300 North, 100 East in the rural residential zone, and adopting the exhibits, conditions, and finding of the staff report as modified by the conditions below. That an application for a vicinity plan amendment is provided prior to the approval of the final plat, and all final planning, engineering, and fire department requirements are met.
Second.
All right, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Redding and a second from Commissioner Butler. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes as well. All right, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for November 21st, 2024 meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of the November 21st, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Who said second? Okay. All right, we have a motion for approval from Commissioner Butler and a second from Commissioner Nelson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you so much.